great to be out, it's great to see people here. Hi everyone, it's Amelia again. Welcome back to Fortventura. As you can probably tell, I'm in the car, which means that this week I can be joined by Sarah.
Hooray!
Hooray! So we've officially entered phase 1 yesterday, which means that we can now both be in the car together at the same time, which we haven't been able to do for how long?
8 weeks.
8 weeks, which seems a bit crazy, but those were the rules. That has now changed, fortunately, as of yesterday. So with phase 1, there's quite a lot of new things that we can now do which we couldn't do last week. The royal decree is over 30 pages long, it's quite detailed. I'm not going to be able to cover absolutely everything in this video, so if you are interested in the actual detail, have a look in the description. I'll try and summarise things as best as I can. But for today, we're just going to focus on the main things, the things that you probably want to see. So we have a booking at one of the bars in Coletta who have been able to reopen their terrace, which is great news. So we're going to be able to go for a drink, take you along, show you what that's like, what the process is, the kind of rules and things that they have to follow in order to be able to do that. Things like small social gatherings are now possible as well, so we might see a few groups of people out and about. So we're going to head there now and we'll take you along with us. So we're just coming into Caleta de Fuste now, and already I can see that there's several people out and about. They're obviously heading to the bars with terraces that are open because it's outside of the current exercise time slot at the moment. So this is the main street, so a lot of popular restaurants like Fado Rock, 15, Ipadino Supermarket, all down here as well. So you can see it's kind of certainly nowhere near normal in terms of the people out, but good to see some people, unlike the previous video. So all the main bars and restaurants are still closed. They won't be able to open inside until later on in the phases. So it is just places with an outdoor terrace at the moment that can open. And there's not many of them that have opened so far in Coletta. When I looked the other day, I think there was only maybe 4 or 5 that had chosen to open, which is understandable given obviously the lack of tourists and the procedures that they need to follow to be able to do that. So just before we head into the bar, we just wanted to thank you for all the views on last week's video. Absolutely amazing. We had no idea that it would be so many, but there's clearly a lot of people that love Fuerteventura. So I'm going to make this a weekly video series documenting what's going on here. Phase 1 is expected to last for 2 weeks, so we're not expecting any major changes next week. That's obviously subject to change, so we'll see how it goes. But what we will do is take you to a different location on the island, and we'd also like to try and answer some of your questions in next week's video. So if you've got a question for us, drop it down into the comments box on YouTube and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can in next week's video. We're here at Scott's Cafe and Bakery in Caleta de Fuste. And it's great to be out, it's great to see people here. So the tables are all distanced, there's 50% capacity allowed. And they really seem to be doing a good job in terms of the following the procedures here, the rules, making sure it's safe for people to come out and enjoy a drink again, to enjoy some food. They're operating an appointment system here so that they can make sure that there's time to sanitise all the tables in between the bookings as well, which is great. So a bit of freedom.
Yeah. this is nice. It's a nice sunny day as well.
How's your coffee? Yeah. So Loraine has very kindly said that we could film whilst we're here, and I'm going to see if I can ask her a couple of questions just about what she thinks about the reopening process. Now you've had the opportunity to open up, was that an easy decision to reopen?
No, not at all.
What
Not
kind
at all.
of processes and things have you had to go
I've
through?
had to come off local benefits and everything. Two members of my staff, they've come off the local benefits as well. If anything does happen, or it doesn't, and we do have to close back down, then 2 members can't go back on any benefits for 6 months.
Okay.
So they've took a big decision to come off because they want to come back to work because they enjoy working.
So it's a big commitment for you
Very big
and your
commitment,
staff.
yeah. And it's worrying for me as well, knowing that they've done that. So I've got to put 100% plus into this to make sure
make
it does work and they're not out of work.
And what about the practical steps that you've had to take in order to follow the regulations?
The tables have got to be 2 metres apart. You can have groups up to 10 in one group.
Yeah.
I've put hand sanitizer outside for people to use. It's on the bar, it's in the toilets. I don't let anybody come in onto the terrace until they wash their hands. Cutlery, as you can see, we put it all in plastic bags, so there's no contamination there at all. We're not having to touch different things. It's still a learning process because they're changing the rooms all the time.
Yeah.
So it is still a learning process. But
Well, it seems to me from us being here that you're doing a great job.
thank you.
Thank you for letting us film.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people watching that love this place that want to see the steps to recovery.
Yeah,
so
they will do.
hopefully they'll support you when they can come back.
I'm sure they will.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It was yesterday that phase 1 started. So the main difference is we can now have more than one person in a car. So if you're part of the same household, you can travel together in the car now. If you're not part of the same household, you can take a friend in the car, provided that you both wear masks and that you maintain the maximum possible distance. We've seen that cafe bars with a terrace can now reopen to 50% of their capacity, and smaller shops up to 400 square metres can also reopen, but they have to have a maximum capacity of 30%. And they need to make sure that customers maintain a 2 metre distance at all times. I think it's fair to say we are still in lockdown, aren't we? It's,
And there's certain restrictions still in place, like in terms of the exercise time slots, that hasn't changed, which doesn't really make sense from a practical point of view, because if I want to go for a run or go out on my bike, I've still got to go at those set times. I've got to go between 6 in the morning and 10 in the morning. Or even if I want to go if we want to go for a walk, we have to go within that time slot. Yet here we are, in the middle of the day, walking around Coletta, because you are allowed to go to a bar at any time of the day that you want. So that sort of thing doesn't make sense, but I kind of think, and this is only my own theory, I think that's based on the authorities wanting to kind of still people to appreciate that everything hasn't suddenly gone back to normal. Whereas if they kind of lift all the restrictions at the same time, I guess people might just slip back into, okay, it's all over now, and we just carry on like we were before.
There's definitely a lot more traffic around. Police have just passed us. They do still have the possibility of stopping people. Whilst you can walk around, you do need to actually be going somewhere. So we can walk around now because we had the appointment to go and have obviously a coffee. Otherwise you need to stick to the exercise time slots and only be out in your allocated slot. So the police will still stop people and ask people where they're going. You can see it's a lovely day here in Fortventura. A little bit of cloud, but generally lots of blue skies, probably sort of mid-20s. Definitely t-shirts and shorts weather. And we're heading out now of Caleta de Fuste on our way to Matorral, where the new fairly new Lidl supermarket is. The rules for the supermarket haven't changed, so although we can both be in the car together, only one of us is going to be able to go inside. So Sarah will go in and get the bits of shopping that we need, and I will see if I can film a little bit outside for you, just to see how many people are there, what that looks like, and there might be some people that haven't seen the new Lidl supermarket either if you've not been out here in the last few months. When did it open? I think it was February?
Something like that, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was after we came back from our January break.
So this is the way that you would go as well, heading towards the airport. So these other shops along here, they're all obviously larger than 400 square metres, so they're not allowed to open as yet. So bigger stores and shopping centres will have to wait to the later phases to be able to reopen. But supermarkets have been open the whole time, obviously they're essential. So how would you describe the Lidl shopping experience?
Fine, it's very straightforward. You go in and all the supermarkets have a pretty similar procedure. So there's hand sanitizer which you use, put some disposable gloves on, you've got a trolley wipe, and these are all compulsory for you to use before you can shop in there. And then you carry on, you do your shopping as normal. I mean, we haven't had any issues in terms of not being able to get stuff really. There hasn't been the stockpiling issues that there's been elsewhere. Other than bread flour, I think that's the only thing that's been a bit sparse at times. So you carry on, do your shop as normal, and then there's markings on the floor when it comes to paying. There's usually only about 2 or 3 tills open in Lidl, unless it's very busy. And they prefer you to pay by card rather than cash, but you don't have to. The staff are all wearing masks and gloves. And I'd say that probably about 50 to 60% of shoppers are wearing masks. Obviously it's not compulsory for people to wear masks when shopping here, it's only compulsory to wear them on public transport at the moment.
Don't forget to get your questions in for next week's video. Thanks very much for watching, we'll see you next time.